I'm not gonna worry about your level of concern.
Yoy and double yoy.
We talking about
Twitter.
Triple yoy.
Think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are stupider than that.
Quadruple yoy.
Let's go Steelers!
Why didn't he pick him up with a bat?
You guys are funny sometimes.
We mock ourselves.
It's back! Why is it taking him so long to talk? Because he's trying to reach the camera switcher at the same time. It's what Jin's talking about. The conversation about the conversation. And the conversation is the Steelers' social media conversation. Always hot and toxic. Fresh off the skillet. I'm Kyle Kreis. Here with me is Greg Benevin.
Hello.
And coming up in the I can't even tease the second half because it is that special time of year. Cue the music.
We've been taking names, we've been keeping score of all the stupid things you all have said with no remorse. It's the Yinzies. Oh, there's nothing more important. It's the best and worst of your tweets. All the things you should say for therapy, but instead you put your rear out here so publicly. It's the Yinzies. Is there anything more toxic? It's the best and worst of your tweets.
Third year of the Yinzies, and I think this might be the worst the takes have been, ever.
I think this season melted a lot of people's minds, and social media reflected that.
Lots of awards to give out. Let's get to one more verse, though.
We will pick them up, we will put them down, we will LOL at all the trolls who play the clown. It's the Yinzies. Is there any way to stop it? It's the best and worst of the best and worst of the best and worst of your godforsaken tweets.
All right, award show is here, and yes, I'm not like Joe Coy, I wrote all these myself. Shall we get to awards with the first? I don't have an award sound. We'll just get to the first award.
That's good enough.
It's the Juju Award for off-field moment of the year. Greg, you can choose from our list of nominees or go off the board.
Well, I mean, I see you have Kenny chugs beer with Luke Combs. I mean, I am biased. I like Kenny going on stage with Hardy, even though that was at the much smaller stadium of Stage AE versus Acrisure. But I mean, it's you have 4 negative things here, and DJ's Lambo fender bender. Kenny gets his car stolen. Kenny's Levin furniture ad, which we're counting as negative as a car accident, and TJ falling into his pool. But I have to go with the most positive moment here because deep down I am an optimist. Larry Ogunjobi buys his parents a home. That is a lovely thing to see. It just occurred to me now this is a man playing for his third team, so it feels like he might have been able to do that before. But if he couldn't, the point is he did, and we're going to go with that as the best off-field moment.
Yeah, wait, one more contract, Mom, and then you get the...
right. I mean, you got to... I mean, look, I just signed with the Bears. I mean, what are you going to do? Yeah.
That's a noble moment. Of course, for me, the moment, it was a couple, I think, that kind of foreshadowed maybe some above the neck problems with Kenny, and I'm not talking just about the Levin furniture ad. The guy could have shown up with more than just sweatshorts on. But when Kenny got his car stolen from the car lot that he was appearing on the radio live in the studio, just kind of foreshadowed some maybe above the neck issues there.
As far as omens go, that's not a great one.
Let's move on to the Yinzer Crazy Award for Bizarre Fan Moment. I really wanted to talk to the man who purchased a Steelers jersey and put the word Swift on the back to attend the Taylor Swift concert. That is I guess if you're investing $500 on a Taylor ticket, another $150 on a Swift jersey.
Yeah, boy, that's like we could talk to that guy for hours. Like, there's so many questions.
I think that, I don't know if that's my craziest moment. It might be anyone who went to Buffalo and had to shovel sno out of the bleachers.
Right, and did so in like a Lambert jersey. That would be up there. I mean, for me, just looking at what you have, I think I commented on great length at the time. There's bizarre moments, good and bad. The bad moment is definitely the guy in the fire with the Fire Canada sign at the Washington Commanders game. I mean, I don't even remember who they were playing, but it wasn't like it was the Browns or Ravens even. Like, it was just a Commanders game.
And it was a premium seat.
Yes. Right. He was down in one of the end zones.
Not to be, we had the guys who went to the Titans-Jags game.
That's the positive moment I was going to, yes, that's the best bizarre moment.
At least they had a reason to be there.
Yes.
But this guy with the Commanders tickets, had to, he made a statement.
Yeah. I mean, like, are you chanting Fire Canada when the Commanders are on third down? Like, what?
Well, that was the fan moment of the year. Let's move on to the Debo Award for Alumni Moment of the Year. That's supposed to be a scene from Friday.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's hard for me to look at AI images for too long. I start noticing fingers, misspellings. That's why I'm glad I don't have my glasses on.
Go ahead. I'll let you start. Alumni moment of the year.
Again, it's negative and positive. I mean, for me, the best alumni moment, the one that filled my heart with light, is of course Duck debuting with Lainey Wilson. I mean, I think Duck, in his own way, represents a fantasy. I mean, that you could be just he wasn't a regular person. He was a truly great player at his level of football, but then be like one with an NFL team, and now is with a world famous country star. I mean, that is, what a hero Duck is, and I'm glad to see that negative moment. I'll go with AB threatening the arena players. That was the ones on his team that he didn't pay.
Yeah, did he think that he was just going to get away with that? I guess, I am going, it's hard to argue with Duck, right? The guy who, was like the Marky Wahlberg. What was that movie where he, Invincible?
Invincible, yes.
It's almost like the true story of that, even though that was a true story, I think. But
yes, it was.
It's hard to argue with Duck. I kind of want to go Lev Bell apologizing for leaving. But I think what personally affected me was really the Mendenhall interview on the Pivot interview.
You did respond to that.
How, man, he really, he's torn up about that Super Bowl moment still. Even though, you kind of forget that he is a Super Bowl champion without the 43. I mean, without the 45.
Oh, I did forget that, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I brought it to a halt. Moving on.
No, I'm sorry. My mind fritzed out there for a second. That's on me, not you.
Next award. This is the Vance Mack Posterizer Award for Best Photo Op. If you could have turn any one moment of this season into a poster, I'm going to choose Kendrick Green at fullback. There was a moment. There was a moment with the fan base there where it seemed like we were all going to unite into something positive. But for me, and in that special teams out of bounds thing made me laugh so hard. But for me, I think the best photo op of the year is the Jaylen Warren block on Austin III's touchdown against Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's one that's very hard to argue with. I do see that you have in here Mason signing the babies in Seattle, and I know that technically happened on a field. I think that should have been in the off-field moment. I might have picked it there, but I think because the truth is there are a lot of great photo ops of great plays to choose from in the season, even though they went 10-8 and all that. I'm going to go with you have it on here. Najee's angry run against against Cincinnati, the one where, all the guys move and it just keeps going and going, and the ref shouldn't have blown it dead for forward progress, because that also came in the moment right in the wake of Canada being fired. And that, and that was a real hey, we're doing this. Maybe this will be different from here on. And it wasn't the next 3 games after that. But then it really was.
Yeah, never give up. I can't find the never give up. Well,
I believe in the United States of America, and I believe in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, let's go to worst photo op of the year. Maybe it didn't necessarily affect a game or the season, but it sure didn't look good in the moment. As much as the other special teams play looked good for it being weird looking, Gunners special teams play kind of looked good, but it was all the worst thing you could have done. Of course, Canada not cheering, but I want to give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
I do too.
I'm going to say the worst photo op is Pickens not blocking on the red zone play.
That's my answer too. That's definitely my answer. The Gunner special teams thing gets an honorable mention just because, look, I've heard a lot of Tomlin press conferences. So have you ever heard him 2 months later reference a play from a player that is no longer on the team?
You're right. He's still thinking about that.
Right. That's Tomlin is and Tomlin believes in that we don't look back kind of thing. But no, that was always in the forefront of his mind.
What was he thinking there? That's
it's so weird.
All right, let's move on to the Najee Davenport Dirty Laundry Basket Award. This is for the
Thank God this is the image AI gave you for this.
This is for the low point of the season. There were a lot of crappy moments, but none crappier than I don't know. You could argue that really the season may have come down to Mason's red zone interception, but to me, the darn dirtiest was the Colts running the ball 13 straight times when it was a must-win situation, and there was just nothing the Steelers could have done.
Yes, that's exactly what I would have had. I find it very hard to blame Mason. The biggest reason going that they were in that game for this one pick that wasn't his best throw, but the guy made a good play. I agree. It's the Colts 13 straight runs, but I am glad that you included as an option on here the death threats to Killebrew after the Cardinals game, because that's in its own way the actual. If you had off-field low point of the season, that's easily the answer. Is that because that's horrible.
Yeah, and it was over because he had penalties.
It wasn't
even
personal fouls, which is bizarre. It's and he proved his worth just a few weeks later.
All pro season, all pro, everything.
Consensus.
Yeah, consensus.
Across,
everything.
All these different groups that there's more of them than I thought there were, but they all picked him for the special teams guy.
Best special teams performance ever. Besides from a kicking standpoint,
in terms of guys the Steelers have had, and they've had a lot of good special teams players. Sean Morey, Chidi Iwoma, but
Darius Hayward-Bay comes to mind.
Right,
yeah.
But I don't know how many of them got the Pro Bowl honor.
Okay, let's move on to the Cower Power Award for season's defining moment. If you had to explain the season in one moment, is it the Fire Canada season, or is it the Mason season? Is it the Kenny the Kenny failure? I don't know what you want to call it. To me, as much as you want to probably say it's the Fire Canada season, I like to think of it as the Mason redemption. Like Mason to Pickens in Cincinnati. That was kind of the moment where it was like, we're not dead yet.
Right. No one could see it coming. It's easy to say, the Bengals certainly didn't, but no one did. That's where everything changed. That's where the entire trajectory of the franchise, not just for the rest of the season, but going into the offseason, changed as well. It's, again, if you have off-season defining moment, it's off-field defining moment, it's Fire in Canada, but the on the field defining moment, it's absolutely that throw to Pickens that goes for 80 plus yards for the touchdown. That's even that, even though they went down 21 to the Bills, they were still had a chance to fight their way back into that, in large part all coming back to that play.
You are exactly right. Sorry, once again, I can't get the technical difficulties in the... Come on, AirPlay. All right, let's move on to the next award. Oh, there we go. Let's move on to Offensive Moment of the Year. Self-explanatory. I'm gonna go because this kind of was the game winner in I guess they were all must-win games when you look back on it now. But I'm gonna say Kenny to Pickens versus Baltimore. Best play of the season, offensive play of the season.
I mean, I want to say the same play. It was the one we just talked about in the last segment. But I mean, I'll speak to the importance. But there's a real strong case to be made for what you just said, the play to DJ, and it's something I didn't even think about at the time, which shows just how much things changed with Mason in the last month. Is that, I mean, it was only up until almost a little before Thanksgiving, we were still talking about DJ not having had a touchdown in over a year and a half. And here is just a part of things. This is just what happens now. You hit up on this play, and this looks so easy against a Baltimore defense that was sitting, 2 or 3 starters? At most?
Let's go to... Oh, come on. Are you not... Oh, the tech is just killing me today. Defensive moment of the year. And there were a good many defensive plays.
Lot to choose from.
And looking back at all these plays individually, it was like, man, there were so many individual moments that made this season happen. Things you forget about, like the KZ interception against the Packers that sealed that game, or Quan Alexander putting away the Titans storybook quarterback, the Levin show or whatever.
Levis, I think.
Levis, but. I think the defensive play of the season, man, and it's hard because
it's so difficult.
It was really a Highsmith play, but TJ Watt scooping the touchdown for Cleveland. If we don't win that game, then we're out of the playoff.
Yes, and also this is before the Chubb injury. This is where Cleveland is the much better team on paper that turns all the momentum of that game around pretty dramatically. I think that's a fine choice. I'm just going to go with choosing from here. Joey Porter Jr.'s interception against the Ravens. I mean, the Steelers have turned it over. The Ravens have a very short field. The receivers have been dropping balls, and everyone watching this on social media across the country is enraged that the Ravens have not taken the lead, and Porter makes this great interception on another terrible Lamar throw, and it's not just that turns that game around, but it really turns around the way the coaching staff, and maybe even Joey Porter Jr. himself, looks at himself. Because as soon as that happened, then we got into this weird controversy of hey, he's got to play a lot more, and then by the Titans game, they're just run with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, king of the literally king of the North, maybe in that play. He became,
I mean, that was that. That's one, and it's whatever. And there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, it was a wasted season. They didn't find out about all these things." It's very easy to say from a development standpoint. The best thing they found out about was Joey Porter Jr., and it really all comes back to this play.
They took it could have been a field goal situation. No points. Yeah,
right.
You can't argue with that. I might go to that.
But your pick was pretty good too. I don't think. But again, there were so many good defensive plays. It's hard to pick.
Next category. This is the Multiverse of Madness Award. If you could have one play back, can one play change the season? I don't know, but one of these maybe. And for me, I'm thinking about remember there was the Christian Kirk's false start against the Pats. Would we have won that game if it wasn't for that? I don't know. The Mason playoff interception. What, who's to say what would have happened without that? But you know what? I think it's that Mitch Trubisky 4th and 2 versus the Pats, where they went for deep for all of it. I
mean, the only reason, because that's a really strong case, Kyle. No, it is. I mean, the only argument against that is that if you really squint and you hurt your brain, and maybe you've had a drink, you can I can work my way around to the Pats shouldn't have seen it coming. Which, again, no one would. It's crazy. I mean, for me, I have to go, and you have it on here, the pick a goal line play against the Cardinals. I mean, it's one where if he I mean, if that doesn't happen, even if they have to kick the field goal, maybe they're better in that game. Maybe they even win it because maybe it takes the Cardinals longer to realize, like, oh, these guys can't cover a tight end whatsoever. But Pickett also doesn't get hurt, and you can make a lot more clear determination about Pickett's abilities throughout the rest of the season. Now, if that happens, then you get into a further what if thing with Mason and all this. So who knows? But I meant as the one play that, like, many roads go into the wood, I think they stem back to that.
Yeah, I think you got it there. Because, the argument was made that Kenny didn't really have a lot of time under Sully and Faulkner. So
that's only the second. That's the end. That's the end of the first half almost of the second game without Canada.
All right, let's go to the most underreported or undertweeted story of the year. These were the under the radar or stuff that people couldn't find anything to be outraged about. I'll go over all of my nominees because you may not even realize some of this happened. Chris Boswell has now more 50-yard field goals than any other Steeler kicker combined. All the other Steeler kickers combined. The defense, number 6 in points overall, and in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, pitched a lot of shutouts.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin has surpassed Bill Parcells, Mike Shanahan, Tom Coughlin, and Paul Brown on the all-time win list. I think Jeff Fisher also, I didn't put that. Shazier's DMs was just a personal favorite story of mine. This kind of went under the radar. Steelers offense ranked below 20th for the third straight year. That has never happened in Steeler history. Deontay Johnson has passed Plexico to become 9th all-time Pittsburgh receiver. And what I think I'm picking for the winner, Najee Harris setting the franchise record for most rushing yards in the first 3 seasons, and has passed Merrill Hodge, 13th of all time. What say you, Greg?
I agree with you, and I'll tell you why going through the rest of them. Many of the others are something that I think people just kind of assumed. Like, Boswell has been so good, and the Steelers, frankly, kick so many more 50-yard field goals, as everyone does, that, like, it's not like Gary Anderson ever had a chance to catch this. They just didn't kick 50-yard field goals then. Today's kickers are so much better. The defense, that I would have this as number 2. The defense really was that strong in the second half. A lot of it got buried under, the offense is so bad, but the strong years the defense had. The Tomlin thing, you kind of knew he keeps climbing all these rankings because he just keeps winning.
Yeah.
So that it almost gets passe. Plexico becoming the 9th all-time Pittsburgh receiver. Well, again, Plexico didn't play that many years here, but by the time he did, passing was in vogue. But the Najee, set this record in a time when there's less running. In places than there was in a lot of the years in the past. So I think that's why you're right that is the most underreported, undertweeted story.
And it's just crazy to think, you're like, oh, you mean more than Franco, who was Rookie of the Year? His rookie, more than
like Barry Foster, like it's stuff like that. Like it's not
Lev
just
Bell,
Bam Morris. I mean, these guys, when it was like that was so much more of the offense than even Harris has been.
So, which is why I think that he gets his option. I think
so too. I might have doubted that, say, if you'd asked me at Thanksgiving, but no, absolutely.
Or even
not
I mean, not to play con season, but maybe a 3-year contract, right? Instead of just an option year.
Well, since he didn't make the Pro Bowl, apparently it's cheaper. I read that somewhere, so that's going to help too. So
okay, cashing in. Let's move on to most improved Steeler of the year. It's hard not to argue. I mean, JPJ, we said Joey Porter Jr. because of the fact that he went from, is he going to play how many snaps a game to King of the North?
Right, just run with the biggest receiver they have.
But I think you got to give it to Mason Rudolph.
Of course you do. Yeah. There's no other. I mean, it's not, these other guys had great years. You got Warren, you got Highsmith, you got Connor Hayward, Mon Adams, who I think is second place. I mean, that's a guy they saw as like a depth piece that became a starter and made big plays, including probably the biggest game of the playoff game. But it's got to be Mason. I mean, this was just unbelievable this December. It was ridiculous.
He kept himself in the league, and
Yes.
in fact, is going to earn his biggest contract to date. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic story. He was easily the most improved Steeler, and it was a real win.
Let's go to most regressed Steeler.
Finally, some AI art that speaks to me.
I typed in, I said, because I was trying to get the effect that when Super Mario shrinks.
Yeah.
And so that's what I typed in, and that's what I got there.
And it does better with Bowser than it does with most human beings.
Okay. Most regressed Steeler. Man, I hate to say Kenny Pickett.
Yes, but that's also the answer.
Is it the answer?
That's the answer. It has to be. I mean, it's just the way we're talking about him today versus the way we were talking about a year ago, where, even though they didn't score a lot of points in those games, he was able to lead that team to victory, and he wasn't turning the ball over, and he was staying healthy, and this and this and this. It's absolutely now. If you want to do a most regressed Steeler non-Kenny Pickett division, then you can get into. I mean, then it becomes a real debate. You got Mason Cole, you got Mitch, you got Gunnar, Chooks, and Levi Wallace. Ooh, that's tough. Now I don't know.
I think Chooks will find. I think he'll be a starter somewhere else. He really got out of Tomlin's favor. He
Yes.
really unless that was just. And, the other thing could be, or they just looking for a reason to start the rookie. And so anything like, okay, now you're demoted,
Right. But Tomlin's had a lot of good rookies that have come on. And this is the first time we've ever really seen something like this. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think I'm going to say, because I agree with you. I don't think it's Chooks because of that same reason. He's going to start somewhere, even if they trade him. It puts me down to, and Mitch, Mitch turned the ball over. So I'm going to put him in third. Gunner's cut. So I don't think that counts. So, I mean, Mason and Levi Wallace, I'm going to go with Mason just because I don't remember last year, and feel free to yell at me on Instagram, the bad snaps.
Yeah.
That's not to say he was Dirk Dawson last year, but there was almost like a Steve Blass kind of forgetting how to snap throughout the course of this season.
Let's move on to season's best prediction, which there were few and none between. In fact, I could only find one. Oh, and I didn't even give credit to who did. The prediction that the AFC North would all finish above 500. That was really the only thing I could find that was a worthy prediction. And I didn't even give credit to, gosh darn it, you have to go back and listen to whatever episode that was back in August, I guess. September. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll find it and put it in the show notes. Look in the show notes for best prediction there.
Okay. But that is an incredible prediction. And it would be hard to make that prediction considering it had never happened in any division before.
Yeah. Although I will argue that 2020 was a better year for the division because even though not all four teams had winning records, I think there was better playoff success. I mean,
and Burrow being out for the season, I think, is kind of an issue too. That sort of takes the Bengals off. But maybe Baker, that's a tough one to argue. Yeah.
Let's move on to season's worst prediction, which could have been all of the above. I'll say that maybe my worst prediction was that Canada was going to have some Glengarry plays.
Oh yeah, and I was there with you. I thought there was the other pages in that book were blank. Like you could imagine, just keep going through the book and finding blank page after blank page, very much like The Shining. Yeah.
But the real thing, anyone who predicted anything about Kenny Pickett was wrong. People were saying 3,510 touchdowns. Nope. People were saying 4,000 yards. Nope. People were saying 20 touchdowns, nope.
But the real negative ones were also wrong. Like there are people they're also saying 5-12 or 6-11 with Kenny starting, which was also wrong. I am glad. I mean I don't know if it was a prediction or people rooting for it, but I'm so glad you included Tomlin traded. Yes. That's my favorite. Just because you could say fired, okay, coach is going to get fired. I mean, okay, whatever. That's at least the thing that happened. But coaches get traded once every 8 to 10 years. It's like a penalty shot in hockey. I mean, but Tomlin traded is gonna go down as my worst prediction. Even though you're right about the Kenny stuff.
Yeah, traded. What? Ugh, gosh. Well, let's get to and who did that come from? Well, let's get to insider moment of the year. And I would have said, up until, up until the Tomlin traded talk, it was definitely Madden, and then who else got on it? It was Steelers Now, weren't they? That said Kenny refused to be the backup.
That's number one. Because we know it's definitive. That's the kind of thing that like made different camps inside the team mad. Like it's Kenny's people were mad. Tomlin was mad. Everyone was mad. That's easily number one.
At least they had a so-called source for it, even though it was Jersey Jerry's buddy from the beat, from Ocean Down the Shore or something, right? At least there was a source for that. But who didn't have a source was all of these people doing the trade. Tomlin retirement. Tomlin takes a break. Right. Whether it was Jay Glazer or Adam Schefter or Brooke Pryor piggybacking on that. All that was even less sourced than the wrongfully sourced Kenny refused to be a backup.
I mean, you've heard my theory on this. I think we got months of content, thousands of tweets, endless articles off of like Glazer and Tomlin having a drink, and Tomlin saying, "Man, sometimes I get tired," and then that led to just months of this nonsense.
I laugh at that.
Yeah, same coach. Let's go to Happy Trails Award, the Steeler who will not be returning in 2024, or maybe has already not returned.
Yeah,
like you want to say
got
Matt
a head
Canada
start here, and
yeah. I mean, Matt, it's going to be the year it's the Matt Canada year, is what people are saying, but
but non-Matt Canada division.
I mean, that's it's like that's a tough one. I'll put maybe Kendrick, the combination of Kendrick Green and Kevin Dotson, who both went on, before Green got injured, they both went on to find success elsewhere.
Oh yeah, no, Dotson becoming All-Pro here in Los Angeles. That's an incredible story. And it's something the Steelers kind of got to look at. Why did this not happen here? But yeah, that's one that seems like has a happy ending.
Let's move on to Welcome to Steelers Nation Award, newcomer to the team. And there've been a few new names.
Yes,
it could be Pat Peterson, it could be Isaac Seumalo, Keanu Benton, Nick Herbig, but I think maybe Eric Rowe, Kawan Alexander, Elandon Roberts. I think that, at least for me, I think it's pretty obvious. Joey Porter Jr. Hopefully, well, you know what? Maybe the tackle too. I would say they both could be here to stay for the next decade.
Yes, absolutely. It's how many times does Tomlin say about a rookie after their first season they could be dominant? And he said that about Benton. I mean, that's really something. So yeah, the draft and the free agency were good. They really were. Yeah. I mean, they boosted this team already and seemingly do so in the future. That's, once this season ended, I've noticed there's a little bit less hate now that we're a week out from the Bills game, because people realize that con season has borne fruit in the past and can continue to do so.
You are absolutely right. Shoot, maybe we should take a break. We're going pretty long because we got coming up in the second half. We've got lots like the theme music. We've got Tomlin moment of the year. We've got the worst and best takes of the year. We've got the low-key hater of the year. Will they come on to accept? We've got the fan of the year who has accepted an invitation.
Good.
So we'll find out who our third fan of the year is. That's coming up in the second half of the third annual Yinzie Awards.
Raise your brand, you got it. Raise your brand, you want it. You got confidence, secure.
Feeling confident? Raise your brand. Got 150 million? Raise your brand. Need AI solutions to carbon-based insurance problems? Raise your brand and reach for Acrisure.
Confidence, tried and secure. Raise your brand, Acrisure. Raise your brand, Acrisure.
That's right. It's the second half of the third annual Yinzies.
Nice.
The best and worst moments of Steelers social media. We're coming up to the marquee awards.
The headliner.
The headliners. First. Well, it's not. Whoops, sorry, wrong sound. Whatever. Let's get to Tomlin moment of the year. Always my favorite category. We started the season with that fire up video of you constantly need to be a guy on the rise. I got everyone fired up. I personally liked fat, sassy, and spoiled. Maybe not for the reason that people thought. I think it was a diss.
Yes.
But it's the quote that keeps on giving for me. It's "We're not urinating on the fire. Never give up, especially this season."
I mean, that's a fine answer. I'm 100% on board with that. I can also see a strong case for fat, sassy, and spoiled because it sounds silly, but it's so precise. Like, it's a way of criticizing the fan base without insulting them. But yes, if you say it to somebody, they won't be happy that you did. It shows such a mastery of language that I appreciate fat, sassy, and spoiled. But we're not urinating on the fire. I mean, that's something I've repeated to myself during tough times outside of here. So I don't think there's a wrong answer here.
We're not urinating on the fire.
That's right. We're not.
There it is.
Never. And it's a camping thing. Do you think Tomlin ever really camped? I don't know where had this come into his lexicon at all.
It does seem like one that maybe they might have said in a Western he had on in the background.
Okay, well let's get to some.
Hey!
All right, it's time for the worst take of the year, and believe me, there were many worst takes.
Oh man, we could do weeks of episodes about that.
But I thought one was,
and I think you were right here.
And this was, I didn't give credit to this guy either, but he was the former NFL scout. This is all talking about Tomlin. Is he going to be traded? Is he going to take some time off? And let's see if we got the quote here.
I think Mike Tomlin should want to be fired at this time.
Boom, enough said. I think Tomlin should want to be fired.
Wow.
Worst take of the year. I don't know anyone who wants to be fired.
I mean, that's pretty amazing. I mean, if you went into it into that hit being I want to have the boldest take possible, good for you. If you thought of that in the moment, what a prime piece of trolling. That is easily the worst take of the year, Kyle. Yes, that is a deserving winner of a competitive field.
Why didn't anyone ask Tomlin at the go away press conference? Reports were that you should want to be fired. Okay, let's get to, and you know what? I reached out to that guy. Maybe we will get him on to see if he still sticks by the worst take of the year.
I would want to talk to him. Yes.
Let's go to the best take of the year. And winners in the past have included Jeffrey Benedict, who defended Tomlin and said it was stupid for Tomlin haters. I think Christopher Carter won it last year for a similar take. I could not. I was hard to find a best take this year. I thought about Kabali, who was kind of on the rational side of things.
Yeah, he's been there more often than you might think.
And I looked long and hard, so it gives me no great pride to give the award to myself this year.
All right, another deserving winner.
Yes. Thank you. Because when Tomlin said that he likes our fans to be fat, sassy, and spoiled, I came out with the think piece. Fat, sassy, and spoiled is no way to go through life. I stand by it all season. It's been some of the worst. Part of it is Twitter got worse. Part of it was the blue check marks.
That can't be ruled out. I mean, that's a major, major factor.
The Twitter got worse. The blue check mark thing, how it went from
once you could pay for it.
Yeah, it totally swapped from credulous to incredulous.
Yes.
So that was part of it, but the takes this year were just worse, and there were no bad takes. It seemed like everyone this season, not only did they forget 2005, they forgot 2021. I mean,
no, it's the I mean, the takes were so bad, and Twitter was so defunct. I mean, you had to go to Reddit. Look at that sentence.
All right, it's time for one of the more notorious awards of the year. I call it the low-key hater of the year. Not everyone can just be, like your average hater on Twitter. Anyone can be like the Kenny doubter or the Tomlin doubter. But one person was all of those things and was writing from the inside. That's right. It's deputy editor of Behind the Steel Curtain, Jarrett Bailey. Congratulations on low-key hater of the year. If you choose to accept.
I was gonna say, I mean, I don't know if I should be honored or offended, but no, it is all in good fun. I think that most fans of the team that are familiar with me, they know where I stand on most things, and if they disagree with me, I'm sure it comes off as being the what is it the low key hater. That's the award. Then so be it. Happy to. This is my Emmy at this point.
Yeah, and I think what really put it over the top for me was we didn't get there, but there was a point where I think you were willing to root against the Bills in Week 18 if it came down to the Steelers needing a playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't make it a secret that Josh Allen's my favorite player in the league, and so I have just complete other stuff that pertains to, I don't know how I want to say this. I've got other agendas that I need to defend when it comes to my work and whatnot. And I've long been a Josh Allen guy, so I think I tweeted it too. I was like, "Look, guys, like I want the Steelers to get in the playoffs. That'd be cool, but like if it comes down to needing the Bills to lose, I ain't rooting against them." And if you need that much help on the last day of the year, you probably shouldn't be in the dance anyway. But regardless, they got in. Everybody kind of had their cake and ate it too. So everything was all good in the end.
I wish we had time to go over some of your other takes. I would love to challenge you to come back next week and step into the kangaroony court where we can go deep on your tweets and show everyone maybe why you earned your low-key hater award this year.
Is that like that episode of Batman the Animated Series with Batman on court when all the villains just kind of go ham on him?
Yeah, this is kind of the Arkham Asylum running the roost, if you could say. Not quite Batman, the Nolan Batman 3 court where you had
okay
Cillian Murphy determining who had to walk the plank.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see what kind of verdict I get when the time comes. But yes, absolutely.
Right, because the ultimate crime is to have to turn in your towel. That's the ultimate punishment. But all right, Jared, we'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
All right, it's time for our final award, the most prestigious Fan of the Year award. And if you've been on Steelers social media this year, there were few voices of positivity throughout this season. Maybe maybe some of the least positive yet, even more than 2021. But we searched high and low across the internet to find our Fan of the Year. And joining me now is our Fan of the Year 2023, Pastor Wade Runge. Welcome to What Jen's Talking About. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm humble, but I'm yet sad. We should have some more positive Steeler fans out there, man. But thank you for the shout out.
What do you see out there on social media? Because, it's just so much negativity. And is it just that the younger generations haven't seen this type of adversity with their Steeler teams? Is that really the big difference? Or is there something more to that you're seeing out there?
Well, I think that's one thing, that the younger fans haven't experienced the down years and the abyss of, when King Chuck Noll, when the Emperor, when we suffered near the end of his career, and we had some down years, from Mark Malone, Cliff Stout, and in the 90s, even the 90s, Neil O'Donnell, man, being on the tape, throwing the interceptions in the Super Bowl, to seeing 3 years straight with Bill Cowher losing seasons, and then now we have 17 straight winning seasons, and so in context, 17 years, some of these young guys, they were in diapers, before they had a losing season, so they never experienced it. And the older fans, I think they got to a place where we got entitled. We got entitled, feeling like we're supposed to win. I'm like, I got friends or Commander fans. Man, they would love to have a winning season. I got friends that Carolina Panther fans. They go through 2 coaches a year. I mean, and so, I'm like, I like to keep it positive, man, because I'm grateful that we have winning. We're relevant throughout the season. I can look with my YouTube package I pay for to pay all that money, $79 a month. I can watch every game and know that it has meaning, has value, and Tomin's going to have the team ready to play. And, every once in a while, I have a game that's not good, like the Houston Texans. But as a whole, they play good football, solid, and they have a chance. So, yeah, man, I mean, I think that's a big part of it.
Who do you follow out there? Is there, like, who else do you see keeping it positive out there? I don't know. Do you read any of the papers or the media or the blogs? I don't know. Where are you getting your Steelers info from?
Well, I want to give a shout out to another guy on Twitter, a guy named Jimmy D. They call him Unk. And man, and also her name is D, and she is like Coffee D or something like that. Man, these two, man, they are straight up killer positive Steeler fans, and and I'm waiting to catch up with them at one of the games. But they always keep it positive, keep it real. We all talk real stuff, like we're not playing well. It is what it is. But we look forward to the next week, winning next week. We don't go into the next game saying, "Oh, we're gonna lose," or "This is gonna suck." Well, if you're thinking that way, why be a fan? Trade allegiance and be with Las Vegas Raider. And go ahead and change allegiance and be a mistake by the Lake Browns fan. I mean, their Super Bowl a couple years ago beating us in the playoffs. I mean, that's the best they got. I mean, Otto Graham was the last time they were winning anything. So, I like them apples. I mean, so I like being a Steeler fan, man. We not only with 6 championships, but, man, the culture of what these young people don't recognize where we came from, the steel mills, the coal mines, blue collar, hard working, man, the Jack Lamberts of the world, the Jack Hams, the Mean Joe Green, and, man, fought for everything we had here in our community, and where I'm from, the Keysport. And so we had to fight to survive. And so the Steelers came out of that, and so, yeah, man, they certainly don't know what Art Rooney went through from 1933 to all the way to 74 before he won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, yeah.
As a pastor, this is something that I've always wondered. You might have some unique take on this. As a pastor, one of my favorite verses is, love your neighbor as yourself. Nothing greater than that, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. And I take that to be as a fan too, like just because these guys are millionaire strangers on TV, it doesn't mean that they aren't people too. I don't know. Is that taking it too far, or is that a translation that sports fans can take?
Well, I think that's a great way to live, man. You gotta love thy enemy, man. I mean, and I got a member in our church that I pastor. Her son plays, Morgan Moses plays for the Ravens, and and I helped him through high school, as kind of a mentor, and through college at UVA, and and they give me grief with the Ravens winning, but it's all love, I think it's always love for everyone except for the Browns. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, why lie when the truth will do? I keep it positive, but I keep it real. The Browns just have no respect for anyone. I think they wake up every day with no respect for themselves, but I still love them. I still love them. I pray for them, but the Brownies are the Brownies, and we're the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, we like to honor our fans of the year, so I'm going to send your way a copy of Tomlin, The Soul of a Football Coach, the new biography on Mike Tomlin. Appreciate you for being our 2023 fan of the year.
Man, thank you, man. I'm honored, man, and I just hit one of my milestones. Look, I've been around the world, been in the Marine Corps 21 years, pastoring for 2 decades, and traveled the globe. And now I think this is one of my milestones I just hit, being recognized as being a Steeler fan of the year. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, man. I could die and go to heaven.
Hey, well, I
ring. I'm going to heaven.
Who needs the ring when you've got the respect of a little heard of podcast? So
That's right. Love it.
All right, Wade. keep tweeting out there, and we appreciate all you've done for the fandom and keeping social media a little less toxic. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. And I always try to remind people about perspective. It's just a game, man. We love it. We love our Steelers. We love the sports, man. It's a great outlet, but don't let it be your whole life, man. Life is so big. There's so many great things out there. Find one positive thing out of everything. In every game, man, Tomin is a winner no matter how you feel about it. Kenny Pickett, I wish he had a different last name, but Kenny Pickett, man, is our quarterback. Man, cheer him on. If you don't like the Steelers, find you another team. If you don't like the quarterback, find another one and come back from a sabbatical when we get another quarterback, man. But cheer our team on. We don't need any negative Nancy's. Let's keep it moving forward, right? Here we go, Steelers.
Enough said. All right, that's it. That's that's it for the award show. Third annual in the books.
It's hard to believe that we've done this 3 years already of the Yinzies. Wow.
And the just keeps getting more fun, does it?
Well, it's. I wanted to. I'm sure I say this every year. The takes can't get worse, can they?
They better not.
Yeah, really.
They better not. Well, not until we find out who we're going to hate next year when we hire our next offensive coordinator.
Man. Oh God, we're already starting to do the interviews with guys, and people are setting up camps and being emotionally connected to guys that sat down for job interviews.
Will we be able to find out who the first hate tweet for the new OC is?
God,
that might be
It's gonna be like the first New Year's baby.
It's like racing to midnight, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, what we didn't get to this season, Renegade, I think, was a three win record for Renegade this season.
I believe it. I totally believe it. That gets back to what you said about the defense being so strong in the fourth.
Yeah, TJ Watt, Cleveland, that was a Renegade moment.
Okay.
The Ravens game, I think, was a Renegade win.
I'm sure they played it after the Ravens got the ball deep in Steelers territory in the fourth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the Highsmith interception against the Bengals was a Renegade moment.
Even though they maybe didn't have to play it in the game, they were up so big. But why not? You weren't going to be able to do it again until the next year, so sure.
All right, next week. You already heard. He accepted the challenge. The low-key hater of the year, Jarrett Bailey, will step in to the Kangaroony court, where we will find some of his hottest takes. So believe me, if you're willing to look for football justice, well, we've got Twitter justice. Is that a thing? I don't know.
Not anymore, but we're trying to bring it back.
All right, follow us on social media. This went super long.
Yes,
sorry. Until next week. Keep listening to your Hall of Fame, lifetime contracted hero coach.
Be their best selves. That's going to be required.
Stay in school.